The day the demons found our world, the innocent were first to die.
What's up, gamers? It is that time again. Path of Exile has another expansion and challenge league headed to the game, and as always, I was fortunate enough to get an inside preview just prior to the official live stream reveal, which hopefully you guys are able to check out as well. We're talking about the upcoming Scourge expansion and challenge league. Lots of new content and features got revealed, and I'll give you guys the rundown, but first off, I've got to say, the new trailer for this is insanely good. I'm usually impressed by these expansion trailers, but this one is next level good. I think it's the perfect sound design this go around, maybe. Either way, hopefully you guys think the new content is somewhere on par with this new trailer.
They are ravenous. They are endless. They are the Scourge.
Now, from what I was easily able to gather, the new expansion here has put a ton of leniency on players, but it doesn't at all take away from the challenge or what makes the game originally great, and hopefully you'll see what I mean as we get into it. So let's first talk about the new Scourge Challenge League. The upfront main new mechanic is the Blood Crucible, which is handed to you by a random woman right as you get out of Lionized Watch, who asks you ever so nicely to jab it into your body. You know, no big deal. It shows up in your inventory pane like so, and as you play through each area, the Blood Crucible fills with the blood spilled by the monsters you've killed, and at a certain threshold, you're able to activate the device. This will instantly thrust you into a parallel reality, an alternate Wraeclast, where some form of apocalyptic event is occurring, full of demons known as the Scourge. They are definitely not the easiest creatures you've faced, but the more blood you've collected, the longer you can stay shifted into the alternate world. There is a trade-off here, but it's for good reason. The longer you stay, the more damage you take from enemies you face, and when the Crucible's blood runs out, or when you choose to return to your original reality, you do get something out of it. Chris Wilson said it perfectly, you're not there to save the world, you're there to find cool items. Love that. See, you're able to put an item of choice into the Blood Crucible, and as you're there in the alternate world killing the Scourge, it soaks up all the corruption, and after enough kills, the item can be transformed, making it become corrupted and equipped with a pair of Scourged modifiers, one mod being beneficial and one being detrimental. Of course, this is on top of all the explicit and implicit mods or enchantments the item already had. The beneficial mods will be worth the process for sure, though the detrimental mods can drastically raise the requirements of the item, potentially hurting your stats like resistances, for example, or even the possibility of shutting off various mechanics associated with the items completely, such as the ability to deal cold damage or gain charges. The idea here is to get a beneficial mod as part of the transformed item that makes it way more powerful, but at the same time trying to roll a detrimental mod that doesn't take away from your build too much, if any. So as you might have guessed, if you didn't roll well the first go around, you can put the item back in the Blood Crucible, kill more monsters in the upside down version of Wraeclast, as we'll call it, hoping to get RNGesus to get you a pair of mods that works better for you that override the first set. You can do this up to 3 times, and the Blood Crucible guarantees a minimum tier of beneficial and detrimental mods equal to the number of times it's been transformed. So, needless to say, by the last transformation, the power of that item has gone from meh, not too bad, to holy shit. And this process can be done to items that were already corrupted, so if you thought a particular item couldn't get any better, think again. Despite the detrimental mods, these Scourged items can be the most powerful in-game items, even more so than leveling uniques, according to the devs. Now, with all these corrupted items floating around, you can't just go around modifying them without some proper corrupted currency, so to speak. So now you find tainted chromatic orbs, tainted jeweler's orbs, and tainted orbs of fusing that work just like you'd expect them to, just only on corrupted items, and it's way easier and cost effective than doing the process on the crafting bench. Another thing to note about the Blood Crucible is that it gains its own experience and can level up. You can allocate skill points from it leveling in its own passive skill tree, which allows it to specialize in many aspects such as unlocking additional item slots, faster item transformation, better transformation outcomes, the ability to transform unique items, etc. You can eventually level up enough to max out the skill tree so you can fine-tune in your favor, but that won't be a walk in the park, that's for sure. But this helps you control the level of risk and reward throughout the endgame. And speaking of, as you get to using the Atlas of Worlds, you can get the option to place maps into the Blood Crucible alongside your equipment. Just like the item, when the map soaks up enough corruption and transforms, it gains beneficial and detrimental effects as well, but can also gain a mod that changes the behavior of Scourge League in that map entirely. You can transform maps up to 10 times, increasing the risk and reward drastically each time, and when a map is transformed a second or subsequent time, it's likely the new benefit or detriment stacks alongside the existing ones, which, in some cases, if done too many times, can make the map too dangerous to complete, so you gotta watch out for that. This expansion brings in 6 new unique items, and I'll talk about 2 of them in particular. One is an amulet that effectively enables you to turn any 6-linked body armor into a 7-link. Now, 7-link items have been a possibility before, but this amulet actually lets you socket support gems of your choice, including corrupted or awakened ones that apply to all the skills in your body armor. That is going to be a game changer for sure. The second new unique item, the Mage Blood Belt, is one of the most powerful unique items to ever exist in Path of Exile. So rare, you'll probably only ever hear stories about it. This item permanently enables a number of your utility flasks, providing their benefits constantly without you having to do a thing. In other words, regardless of what your build is, you'll sustain your utility flasks during 100% of gameplay, even long boss fights. I know, it sounds broken, and it is, but your chances of spotting, catching, taming, and riding a real-life unicorn are probably higher than finding one of these. This new expansion, without a doubt, streamlines a ton in the game, namely in-game content. I'm not going to go into much detail on this, but aside from streamlining and overhauling Atlas of Worlds, which is happening early next year, with the Scourge expansion, they've already started by shortening the length of the Atlas grind and reducing the number of regions from 8 to 4, which in turn reduces the number of watchstones needed from 32 to 16. There will now be approximately 100 maps, plus the uniques of course, which also means half the number of Atlas passive trees as a result. There'll be more details that go along with this, but yeah, as you can tell, there's definitely some condensing going on. Now, if you're pretty much a PoE grandmaster of sorts, you'll be happy to hear that with this expansion comes Uber versions of Breach, Blight, Legion, an extension to Delirium's Simulacrum, and a revamp of Delve. Not only are these considerably more challenging, but also equally rewarding. Plus, there's some streamlining going on with this as well. As an example, with the Delve revamp, the entire thing has been completely rebalanced so that it's more rewarding and more challenging at earlier depths. In general, monsters scale to have more life but less damage than before. They've also improved the Delve catch-up mechanic. Previously, if you'd entered Delve for the first time at level 90, you'd be starting out at basically Tier 1 map level content. Now you'll be facing content comparable to Tier 13 maps, which lets you now ignore Delve until late game if you want, rather than having to keep up with it as you go. Okay, so there's so much more to talk about when it comes to this new expansion, including new skills, more balance changes, guild improvements, and features. But the last thing I want to talk about is a huge passive skill tree rework. Now, I know that sounds a bit concerning, but, hear me out. The goal in the rework is to keep the tree as similar to before as possible, so with that in mind, those who are extremely familiar with the tree won't lose that muscle memory whatsoever. Where they focused the changes had more to do with each of the tree's class start areas. They added new clusters of skills, improving existing ones, and concentrated power more directly on each skill's primary function. In doing this, it actually helped them identify that many passive skills had niche stats that didn't really matter to most characters, or distracted away from the purpose of what the skill was trying to do. They decided to take these niche stats away from the skill and buff the primary function of the skill so that it was more concentrated on one purpose. The niche stats didn't go away altogether. Instead, the niche stats are now off the main tree, but available via the new passive mastery system. Outside of the class start locations, all passive skill clusters that have a notable passive in them can now contain a passive mastery. So when you allocate the first notable passive in each cluster, a mastery becomes available to allocate in that cluster. When you spend a passive skill point on the mastery, you can choose a specific stat to gain. Now this list is shared with all clusters on the tree that have the same theme, so you can travel to any of them to get the stats that you want. Then, as you allocate a mastery stat, it's crossed off the list for that theme. This new direction has let the team add hundreds of powerful new notable passives that you'll be able to access all over the tree, and no longer will you have to plan around getting 2 specific clusters in order to get the niche stats you want, so you can better focus on what your build is meant to be. Pretty sure when you start working with this, it's going to give you the ability to push your build even further than before. So it seems like a great quality of life feature without actually breaking what we already know and love. Anyway, guys, that isn't everything coming to Path of Exile Scourge, but it is what I wanted to focus on in a quick and dirty video. There's plenty more to check out, as I mentioned, new skills, more unique items, new guild features, game balances galore, just to name a few additions. So by the time you're seeing this video, the live stream reveal should be watchable in case you're looking for those additional details. It's great to see the devotion Grinding Gear puts into this game for its players, and this is just one more step in their legacy of doing that. So big thanks to Grinding Gear Games for letting me be a part of the storytelling. Thank you guys for watching. But until next time, guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.
They are ravenous. They are endless. They are the Scourge.